Yo, what's going on? It's Terrell, Hall of Fame, D-Line, TVKC, and all that sweet, beautiful, wonderful shit. I tell you what, you know what I mean? Some people are asking about the, when I talk about the bunny hopping, and what's the relevance to that? And I was just with a good friend of mine, and looking at two very nice males that he has, and we talked about how the hind legs move in unison, especially when they slow down. Now I do want to correct this, and y'all might hear some rain in the background. I do want to correct this. Even the best put together dogs, when they get up to a higher speed, they're going to do 2 feet moving, together from the back. That's just a speed thing. It's to help them catapult a lot faster. They go into a different type of trot. Now, when they're at a slower pace, you know what I mean, you think of a horse. That's the biggest animal that you can think of running. When you see a horse and he's in his normal trot, he's not bouncing. It's just all 4 legs are moving like so. Well, of course, once a horse, or you think of a big cat or whatever the case may be, once they speed up, you'll notice that, the feet sort of dig towards each other, they stretch out, they dig towards each other. Dogs do the same thing. That's a speed thing. But at a nice gait, it should never be to where your dog's hind legs are basically still moving, together, just hopping. I call it the little bunny hop. You'll notice that it makes it wobble. This is a very good sign that the rear end is off. Once the dog is in a natural gait, those back legs should be moving a lot like the front legs, and not that small hop. Now, some people say, well, that doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that your dog has bad hips, but it means that something's off in the rear. When a dog is in a gait, the gait should be a natural walk where all four legs are fully functional, and there is no hopping from the rear end. If those legs are hopping, they're compensating for something. Now, it could be straight stifles, it could be stiff stifles, it could be torn CCLs, it could be bad hips, it could be a multitude of things that is making them adjust their gait, because that is not a natural gait at a lower speed for the dogs to hop like that. When you think about it, if they're hopping like that and both legs are moving at the same time in that sort of small bunny hop, it's going to throw off the top line, which in turn, as y'all heard me go through this, it transfers to a lot of things. When you're looking at a stud, or maybe even if you're looking at a bitch, an older bitch to buy, this is something that you want to pay close attention to. This is something that you want to tell them. If you want to see them in the video, get them at a decent pace, like more of a fast walk and not a run or a jog, and you'll see if they can't at a nice smooth walking pace, if they can't keep a smooth gait without that hopping motion, then you probably want to stay away from that dog. For one, it's not a show dog, and for two, it's probably an indicator of some kind of problems. The great judge Skip Miller often says, I can tear your dog apart, in seconds once I see the dog in full motion. This is very, very true, because motion tells you everything you need to know, and it's not just in the rear end. It's in the front too. Once a dog goes in motion, it'll give you the indicators if something's wrong with his shoulders, if something's off with I've noticed when I'm judging, even the symmetry changes. And for those who don't understand symmetry is just, symmetrical, which means pretty much that everything matches. Now, this is one of the reasons why we've gotten on this kick about the long backs. And I did a video explaining why I believe that the backs are getting longer. It's because people are trying so hard to put so much weight on the front that you need a longer back to basically anchor the front. And it's only one or two ways that you would anchor the front. The front would be anchored by length of the back or width of the back. considering that these dogs are not getting wider in the rear, like you don't see extreme rears very often. I've seen some dogs where you look at their rear end and you're like, good Lord, these dogs have got the craziest rear ends of all time. And yes, I'm checking my my peripherals to make sure the traffic is good, but you don't see extreme rear ends. You don't see rear ends that match the extreme fronts that a lot of these dogs have. And it is a weight distribution thing. Weight distribution is key when an animal is moving. I don't care what the animal is. So one of the reasons why you're seeing a elongated back is to help out with the symmetry of the dog. It needs to have a certain amount of weight to compensate for what's going on up front. So in these dogs, what's happening is that they're getting longer instead of wider to match, to match the front end. You'll see these things even in movement. You'll start to see them, because in movement, the body is literally trying to anchor itself. You have to remember, unlike us, the dog has a front and a back. These dogs should be driving very, very hard from the back, just like they are in the front. But one of the problems is that if they're front loaded and they don't have good weight or good muscle or a good strength coming from the back end, you'll notice that their movement is very weird. And you see it in the show ring now, is to where it's almost like the rear end is just floating there. They walk, but the rear end is just sort of like, okay, I'm along for the ride. It almost reminds you of those things that, the wind things, where the back end is just like, and the ass is everywhere. It's no power coming from the rear end of the dog, so it's no stabilization. And I want y'all to pay attention to this next time you're watching the show dogs in the ring, is because as they move, it's very, very real. As they move, nothing is happening in the rear end. It's no power being generated from the rear end. It looks very, very light. The movement looks very, very free back there. That is not supposed to be the case. The rear end, the same way that you see the shoulders, sort of stress and flex up, and it's a very powerful movement in the front. And a lot of these dogs, believe it or not, have solid front end movement. Some dogs are a little sloppy in their front end movement, but even some of the extremes, they have solid front end movement. They tend to fall apart after you get from the shoulders. And in our breed, we've yet to understand that part of it, that like most people see the front end and their eyes just cut off after that. Well, if you're dealing with a serious judge and not some of these bootleg ass judges, there's some disqualifications that happen, after that front end. For me, if your dog's back is elongated to the point that it looks disproportionate, that could be a disqualification. If the top line is not very well set, and I see dips, or I see, curves and this and that and the other in the top line, that's pretty much a disqualification. Now, it might not be the DQ that you're thinking of, to where I totally kick you out the ring, but in my mind, at this point in time, you don't have the ability to win a first place ribbon. That's it. I'll tell you, one of the ways that I judge is high rears. I would never give a dog with a high rear a first place ribbon. I think we have gotten so far past that, or we should be so far past that no champion or grand champion should be sporting a obviously high rear end. Now, if it's something that you're looking and it's debatable whether the rear is high, one of those very close situations, that's something different. But a lot of these dogs, it's very, very obvious that their rear ends is all the way up in the air. Even to a novice, if they can point out that this is an issue, why would that dog be a champion? If I feel your dog's tail, and if I have to feel the need to feel your dog's tail and I find a kink there, your dog's going to be disqualified. Of course, if you have a male dog and he has one testicle, he's disqualified. If I watch your dog move, your dog should move with a certain amount of elegance and grace. Your dog should move very powerfully, very smooth, under control, everything working in unison. If this is not what's happening when I look at your dog, it's a disqualification in my mind for his ability to win a show. I think we've gotten so far past the point to where we can truly judge these dogs because everybody's wanting to be political, and we live in the what do they call that? The participation trophy era, where we feel like, guess what? Everybody gets a trophy. We don't want to tell them not to come in the show ring and this and that and the other. Where a lot of these dogs should be dismissed before they even get in the show ring. You know, I've seen some dogs that have been in the show ring that to say they're disappointing would be an understatement. You know, disappointing with me being very nice if I just said they were disappointing. Some of these dogs, it's alarming as to the way they look and the way they move, the way they breathe. These are things that you know, I'm asking everybody as I get prepared to go out and judge more, please have an understanding and don't get upset. I judge on the same type of scale that you would be judged on if you went to the AKC. I'm not accepting, you know, bad faults as my championship level dog. I'll put that first place ribbon in my pocket, and it'll come home with me if it has to. If we can't find one dog that can fit the standard and not be in here with, you know, serious faults or issues, then, you know, that week we just don't have a winner, and that's fine. Because when you do that, the ultimate winner is the breed, because you're representing the breed in a high fashion that will push the breed forward. The breed should be represented by a set of dogs and a crew of people who hold the breed to the utmost standard. One day, you know, you'll look in the ring and you'll see 30 dogs in there, and they'll all have very good conformation. They'll all have tight faces with the cheeks. They'll all be well put together animals. One day. Right now, what we're seeing is we're just seeing basically anything hit the ring and people are giving validation for it. But you know, I was all over the place on this video, but whatever the case you're doing, remember complete dog. Remember that chart that tells you how the dogs are built. That's the law. You know, you don't get to put in variables. You don't get to say, well, my dog is 90% this. That 10% could be the reason why you're disqualified, or the judge has already made it up in his mind that your dog can't win that show. You know, that 10% is all that's needed to give a real judge the opportunity to say, you know what, you won't be winning today. And it could be small things like different colored eyes. You know, that could cost your dog in the long run, depending on how well put together the competition is. You know. But you have to, you know, we have to get to a point of being sticklers about the rules and pulling the best up out of the breed. Now, and I do believe that there's a lot of dogs in this breed that would be top-notch dogs, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, it seems like some of the better put-together dogs are being pushed aside for extreme dogs, which is sad and is counterproductive towards what the breed is supposed to be. But all we can do is work on that. But man, it's cool. I appreciate everybody checking up on me. I appreciate you guys who wanted to do the donations. It definitely helps when whatever donations it is that y'all do, because it gives me a little bit of time. It gives me a little bit of time. It gives me a little bit of cash to go ahead and buy different things for the podcast, and maybe pay a babysitter or something. I don't know, but I definitely appreciate it. We're going to do this more and more and finally jump back on live Sunday. I'm going to speak it into existence, but I'm pretty sure we'll be on Sunday and we'll be able to get something done. But until next time, y'all, much love. God bless. Peace.